My wife and her bestie returned from a hiking trip, only to find out they were both pregnant. The two of them had gone up the mountain, hiring a young male companion to guide them. Just 1 month after their return, my wife and her best friend were both expecting. She had forgotten to log out of WeChat on our PC, and completely by accident. I caught a glimpse of a message from her bestie. "I don't want to keep this baby. I'm terrified it isn't my husband's." The status showed she was typing a reply. But then the account was abruptly signed out. A sickening feeling began to gnaw at me. Could the child my wife is carrying also not be mine? I shut down the computer to leave the study, but then I heard the front door creak open. My wife had arrived home with her best friend. "Yue, could you just come to the clinic with me tomorrow? My husband left for a business trip yesterday, and I haven't breathed a word to him about being pregnant." Peering through the crack in the door, I saw her best friend Zhang Mani looking utterly frantic. My wife, however, remained perfectly composed, calmly trying to soothe her nerves. "Manny, are you absolutely sure you don't want it? Yue, even though my husband has been dying for a second kid, I simply cannot afford to take that risk. If this baby really doesn't belong to him." Suddenly, my wife gave Zhang Mani a sharp head shake. She seemed to have sensed my presence. I let out a deliberate cough, swung the door wide open, and let out a long, exaggerated stretch. I strolled out, acting as if I hadn't heard a thing. "Oh, Manny's here." Zhang Mani's face turned several shades paler, her hands trembling ever so slightly. "Chibin, you were home." "Yeah, I just crashed for a bit in the study. Just woke up and saw you guys standing there." I shifted my focus intensely to my wife's face. She was still a mask of calm, showing no emotional ripples. "Yue, I'm heading out to grab a pack of cigarettes. You girls catch up?" "Mm-hmm." Hubby just tried to cut back a little. I gave a curt nod and walked out the door. Not long after I stepped outside, I spotted Zhang Mani driving away in a hurry. I struck a match and lit a cigarette. I took a heavy drag, exhaling a cloud of thick white smoke. My wife and Zhang Mani have been tight for over a decade. Their bond is supposedly thicker than blood. That hiking trip of theirs lasted 2 days and 1 night, and they specifically hired those young college companions, doing the math based on the timeline. It's highly likely Manny got knocked up during that trip. Truth be told, at the very beginning, I had no clue they'd hired male students to accompany them. It was only later, by pure fluke, that I overheard my wife mentioning it on a call. I didn't overthink it at the time. Hiring hiking buddies online is a pretty viral trend these days. But now that my wife is pregnant at the exact same time, it's impossible not to connect the dots. Back home, my wife leaned in, whispering cryptically in my ear, "Hubby, I've got a juicy secret for you. Manny's baby might not actually belong to her husband. You remember that mountain trip we took a month ago?" I gave a slow, deliberate nod. The woman standing before me was becoming a total enigma. "Actually, we hired a couple of college boys to help us climb. I wasn't really into the idea, but Manny already paid and insisted on getting 2 of them." She was suddenly being way too proactive about explaining that trip. It felt like she was overcompensating for something. She crossed her arms tightly, her expression shifting into something unusually grave. Tugging firmly on my sleeve, she beckoned me to lean down close to her. "Honey, that night Manny and I booked separate rooms, and I saw one of those boys slipping into her room late at night." Once she finished, she made a zip-it motion across her lips with her fingers. My mouth twitched involuntarily as I forced a stiff nod of understanding. This side of my wife felt completely foreign to me. I always thought her bond with Manny was ironclad, but it turns out they're just plastic sisters after all. Aside from Zhang Mani, my wife barely has a social circle to speak of. They were inseparable, spending every spare second together. Manny's husband is loaded, so she just spends her days living the high life without a job. According to my wife, they've been besties since middle school. A month ago, they made plans for that fateful hiking getaway. I had actually offered to go along and keep her company, but she claimed it would make Manny feel like a third wheel. So in the end, I stayed behind. I sent my wife a few messages that night, but she didn't bother replying until the next morning, claiming the daytime climb had left her exhausted, and she had crashed early. 2 days before her pregnancy test, she seemed weighed down by a heavy secret. But the moment Zhang Mani announced she was also pregnant, her entire demeanor shifted into total relief. Looking back on it now, I guess doing something shameful is terrifying when you're alone. But having a partner in crime makes the fear vanish. "Honey, why are you spacing out?" My wife gave my arm a firm shake, staring at me with a look of feigned confusion. "Yue, if you and Manny are so close, why on earth did you book 2 separate rooms?" I knit my brows, shoving my hands into my pockets as I locked eyes with her. Normally, best friends share a room to save cash and gossip. Their arrangement was suspicious from the jump. Did they have this whole thing choreographed from the start? For a split second, my wife's eyes betrayed a flicker of panic that she quickly tried to suppress. It was Manny's idea. She insisted on separate rooms. It was Manny's idea. She insisted on separate rooms. I took a deliberate step back, pulling out my phone and swiping through it rapidly. "Yue, you said Manny's kid isn't her husband, but belongs to that college boy guide." "Exactly, honey. Didn't I just tell you? But then again, who knows? Maybe the kid actually is her husband's after all." "Yue, did that college boy assigned to you never enter your room?" At that, my wife's face instantly darkened. Glaring at me with venom in her eyes, Song Chibin. What kind of woman do you take me for? I'm not some low-class trash like Jung Mani. Her gaze was dripping with pure disdain. Her face twisted in a mask of mockery. So what if Jung Mani married into money? She's nothing special. Her nose and chest are both plastic and fake. The sounds coming from her room that night were revolting. I could hear her loud and clear through the wall. It seems my wife and Jung Mani aren't even real friends. Down in her soul, my wife has always been green with envy over Manny's life. Yue, isn't it a bit much to talk about your bestie like that? Oh honey, I'm only venting to you. It's not like she'll ever find out. Now hurry up and get dinner started. The baby and I are absolutely starving. I gave a stiff nod of agreement. The second I stepped into the kitchen, I covertly deactivated the recording app on my phone. The following morning, my wife's phone sitting on the coffee table flickered to life. She was busy getting ready in the bathroom. I caught a glimpse of the screen. It was a frantic text from Jung Mani Yue. That college boy is hitting me up again. He even claims he wants to take responsibility for me. To be honest, I'm actually catching feelings for him, but the guy is dead broke. I stared at those messages completely floored by her audacity. Manny's husband was walking around with a massive green hat. I'd only ever crossed paths with the guy once, and I didn't have a single way to contact him. The bathroom door creaked open, and I instantly averted my gaze. Honey being pregnant is such a total drag. I'm dealing with morning sickness again. You'd better treat me and the baby like royalty from now on. My wife started acting all cute and clingy, sending a wave of literal goosebumps down my arms. She suddenly clutched her mouth with her hand and darted back into the bathroom. The phone on the coffee table lit up once more. But this time the message wasn't from Jung Mani. Sis, I really want those limited edition kicks. They're 10 grand. The contact name on the screen was simply Little Brother. My wife does have a younger cousin still in school, and she'd occasionally spoil him with small gifts, but 10,000 for a pair of sneakers for a student was beyond extravagant. It felt completely off. The sound of hurried footsteps neared my position. Was that my phone ringing just now? I'm not sure I lied smoothly. I've been buried in my work emails and didn't notice a thing. She snatched the phone off the table with suspicious haste. She shot a lightning-fast glance at the screen, then flicked her eyes toward me warily. It's just another text from Manny. I need to give her a quick call back. Oh, by the way, hubby, about that secret I shared last night? Make sure you act like you're completely clueless. I get it, Yue. My wife clutched her phone and retreated to the balcony. She fiddled with it for ages before finally placing a call. Roughly half an hour passed before she finally stepped back inside from the balcony. Honey, could you spare $10,000? I really want to buy a nice gift for Manny. She's pampered me with so many presents lately. It's only right that I return the favor. Yue, I'll transfer the funds to you later. Thanks, hubby, you're the best. In a sudden flash of clarity, I realized that text message also requested 10,000. Plus, Yue's cousin never calls her sister. He always calls her Big Sis, which meant that text came from the college student guide. My wife was still secretly keeping in touch with him. Even the child in her womb was likely his. Honey, aren't you heading into work today? Because I really need to get going. I'll head to the office in a bit. Once she left, I immediately dialed Jung Mani's number and told her to meet me at a local cafe. Inside the quiet coffee shop, Jung Mani ordered nothing but a plain water. She looked visibly stunned by my sudden invitation. She being, what's with the sudden get-together? Manny, that kid in your belly isn't your husband's, is it? Instantly, Jung Mani's water splashed all over the table. Her face turned a ghostly porcelain white, her lips trembling and wet. Shibin, how could you possibly know? Manny, what do you think? By the way, there's something you really need to hear. I hit play on the recording from yesterday. My wife's sharp vitriolic voice filled the space. With a loud thud, Jung Mani slammed her palm on the table. That absolute snake son Yue. I treated her like a sister, gave her everything. And she has the nerve to trash me behind my back. Manny's cheeks were flushed with a fiery rage, the veins on her forehead bulging with tension. Chibin, this whole scheme was actually Yue's idea. She's the one who sourced those 2 college boys. And honestly, the brat in her womb is probably that student's too. She even bragged to me about how great younger guys are. She even dared to claim you were useless in bed. I pinched the bridge of my nose, taking a long sharp breath to steady myself. It was exactly as I had feared. The child really wasn't mine. I was sporting a massive neon green hat of betrayal, heavy and humiliatingly bright. Chibin, can you please keep this a secret for me? I'll make it worth your while. I can give you a fortune. It seemed Jung Mani was offering me hush money. After all, she was still a parasite living off her husband's wealth. Mani, I don't want your money, but I do want to make a deal with you. After hearing my cold proposal, Jung Mani stared at me in absolute shock. Chibin, are you 100% certain you want to go through with this? I gave her a firm, unwavering nod. Upon leaving the cafe, Jung Mani headed straight for the hospital. For her, wiping the slate clean was the only priority. I soon received a follow-up text from my wife. Hubby, did you forget to transfer that money? It seemed her little boy toy was pressuring her again. My fingers hovered over the screen for a moment as I calculated my next move. Yue, my bank card reached its daily limit. I'll have to give you the 10 grand in cash. A minute later, her reply flashed on the screen. Fine, just give me the cash then. I'm coming over to pick it up now. She was clearly desperate, unable to wait even a second longer. Roughly 30 minutes later, she pulled up in front of my office building. Honey, just hand over the cash. She blinked her almond-shaped eyes at me, looking visibly agitated. I just tried to withdraw it, but the ATM swallowed my card. At that moment, a look of pure annoyance washed over her face, bordering on actual rage. Look, if you don't want to give it to me, just say so. Don't jerk me around like this. Do you think it's funny making a pregnant woman run around in circles like a fool? Why would I ever refuse you money? The bank staff said they're fixing the issue now. Let me go check if they're finished. I played the part aimlessly swiping across my phone screen to mimic a frantic technical glitch. Alright, it's fixed. I'm transferring the funds to you right now. I swiftly sent the $10,000 over to her account. Instantly, she beamed with joy. Oh, hubby, pregnant women are just so moody and unstable. So please don't take my outburst to heart. I've got to run now, bye. She sped off, leaving a cloud of dust behind. I quickly hailed a taxi to tail her from a distance. She headed straight for a luxury shopping mall, and indeed purchased a pair of high-end men's sneakers. However, she remained entirely alone throughout the trip, her thumbs flying across her phone as she texted nonstop. Eventually, she tossed the shoebox into her trunk and drove directly back home. It was clear she wasn't meeting her little boy toy today. Jang Mani had already confessed to me that she didn't have the contact information for my wife's secret lover. They had only met during that one hiking trip, and all communication afterward was strictly one-on-one. A pathetic attempt to respect each other's so-called privacy. When I returned that evening, my wife was in the middle of a heated phone call. Jang Mani, have you completely lost your mind? Why would you go and get an abortion? There was a chance it actually belonged to your husband. We were supposed to be pregnant together. Raising our kids side by side, it would have been perfect. Manny, I am honestly speechless. You've ruined everything. My wife hung up the phone with a violent force. Looking so livid, she seemed ready to shatter the device. I casually strolled through the front door, feigning total ignorance of her little meltdown. I stood by the window, peering down at the street below, and spotted a mysterious man standing by my wife's car. The distance was too great to make out his facial features. Suddenly, the car's lights flashed as it was remotely unlocked. The man expertly retrieved a shopping bag from the trunk. I narrowed my eyes, straining to identify him, but I could only confirm he was a young, fit male. Most likely, this was my wife's college student fling. I didn't bother rushing downstairs to chase him, because it was already too late. He vanished into the shadows with practiced speed. I never imagined they would be so brazenly reckless. It's high time I put my master plan into official motion. 3 days later, Manny invited my wife over to her place, while I hid inside a small back room in her house, intently watching the live surveillance of the living room. Are you seriously going through with this pregnancy? Jang Mani asked, her brow furrowed as she studied my wife. My wife gently stroked her abdomen and gave a firm nod. Manny, this is my flesh and blood. There is no way I'm not bringing this child into the world. Jang Mani shot a subtle fleeting glance toward the camera. But what if this baby doesn't actually belong to Chi-bin? Mani, how could my child be anyone's but Chi-bin's? As long as it comes out of my womb, it is officially and legally my husband's child. My lip twitched involuntarily at the monitor. My wife's sheer audacity left me absolutely floored. Manny covered her nose and let out a fake sneeze, likely stunned into a stupor by my wife's logic, and trying to mask her genuine reaction. You spent that entire night in a room with that college boy. Aren't you even a little worried the kid is his? My wife instantly shot several venomous glares at her friend. Manny, why are you acting so bizarre and suspicious today? I already told you. The baby belongs to my husband Song Chi-bin, and that's final. Seeing that my wife was reaching her breaking point, Jang Mani wisely decided not to press any further. Just then, my wife's phone erupted with a loud ringtone. Hey, darling, what's up? The corners of her mouth curled into a massive giddy grin, her eyes lighting up with an unmistakable spark. That single word, darling, sent a wave of sickening goosebumps across my entire body. Alright, I understand. I'll figure something out, don't worry. She hung up the phone with a look of pure satisfaction. Then she turned her gaze toward the unsuspecting Manny, clearly concocting some sort of predatory scheme. Manny, lend me $500,000. I have a very urgent use for it. Yue, is this massive sum for that college student? Yeah, so what if it is? Xiaohui says being a mountain companion is a dead end. He wants to open a pool hall with some of his friends. I think it's a brilliant investment for his future. Besides, the thought of him hiking with other women makes my stomach turn with jealousy. I pulled out my lighter and sparked up a cigarette. My wife wasn't just playing around with that kid. She was actually catching real feelings. Yue, you didn't seriously fall for him, did you? Are you actually planning to be with him? Manny, please, who doesn't crave a younger body? Xiaohui's only flaw is his unfortunate bank account. But once that pool hall opens, he'll finally be the boss. I took a slow, heavy drag of my cigarette. Apparently my only crime was getting older. Yue, does this mean you're divorcing Chi-bin? Manny, I'm not in a rush to pull the trigger yet. After all, Chibin is still my personal ATM. We'll just have to wait and see. If the brat turns out to be Xiaohui's, then I'll probably file for divorce. I'll just take half of the family assets when I go. I won't ask for a penny more, which is more than enough mercy for Chibin. My wife really had it all figured out. Cuckolded me, then stripped me of half my net worth. Anyway, hurry up and lend me that 500,000. Yue, that amount is pocket change to me. But let me be brutally honest with you. I've actually had a huge crush on Chibin for a long time. How about this divorce, Chibin? Walk away with absolutely nothing, and I'll hand you $5 million in cash. Plus, I'll hire specialists to look after you, pay for your recovery after the birth, and cover every single expense for the child's entire future. Mainly the thought of you still being his wife just makes my skin crawl with disgust. Even though I knew this was coming, I still ended up choking on a lungful of smoke. Jiangmani, you're in love with my husband. That's right, Yue. I've always wanted Chibin. He's handsome, refined, and incredibly attentive. Who wouldn't fall for a man like that? Jiangmani, tell me you haven't slept with him. Yue, I told you it feels wrong while he's yours. I'm waiting for the divorce first. Fine. Then I'll gladly step aside and let you have him. But don't forget the 5 million and the extra costs. Yue, relax. I'm a woman of my word. Manny, I'm heading home right now to end things with Chibin. I watched my wife's silhouette vanish from the monitor. I couldn't help but let out a cynical laugh. The door to the small room creaked open, and Jiangmani leaned lazily against the frame. I've fulfilled my end of our little bargain, she noted. I expect you to keep your promise as well. Don't worry, Manny. Your little secrets will stay safe from your husband. Chibin, for the record, I really do have a thing for you. This time, my cough was completely genuine and uncontrollable. I quickly retreated from Jiangmani's house, finally understanding with crystal clarity exactly why she and my wife were such inseparable friends. Birds of a feather really do flock together in the filth. The moment I stepped through my front door, my wife was already perched in the living room waiting. A thick document was laid out ominously on the coffee table. I didn't need to read the title to know it was a divorce settlement. I paced toward her with agonizing slowness, acting as if everything were perfectly normal. Yue, why are you just sitting there in the dark? She looked up at me with cold, indifferent eyes and gestured toward the paperwork. Chibin, I'm ending this. I want a divorce. Those are the official papers. Go ahead and look them over. I'm walking away with nothing but the clothes on my back. I'm even leaving the car for you. Yue, what's going on? Why the sudden talk of divorce? I don't want to lose you. Did I do something wrong? Just tell me. Song Chibin, you are honestly pathologically stupid. Let's get real for a second. On that hiking trip, there was a man in my room too. The brat I'm carrying, it's almost certainly his. I only married you because your profile looked decent, and you treated me well enough, but you are just so incredibly boring. You can't even hold a candle to Xiaohui. She spat out her confession in one breath, her entire posture radiating pure contempt for me. I picked up the divorce papers and gave them a scan. Everything seemed to be in perfect order. She had already scrawled her signature at the bottom. Yue, is this truly what you want? Song Chibin, act like a man for once, will you? Stop the whining. Sign the damn papers, and let's just end this farce. I gripped the pen firmly and signed my name across the page with a flourish. The first phase of my mission was officially a success. But barely moments after the ink had dried, the sharp ring of the doorbell echoed through the house. My wife practically sprinted to the entrance, flinging the door wide. Darling, you're here? Hey sis, where did you put your luggage? It's all back in the bedroom. Don't worry sis, I'll go grab it for you. From now on, I'll be the one carrying everything. I can't bear to see my girl lifting a finger. Clearly his game was top tier and his lines were smooth. No wonder my wife was so hopelessly obsessed with him. Big bro, I'll take excellent care of her from here on out. You can rest easy now. I could only blink in disbelief before letting out a laugh. Sometimes when you're this speechless, all you can do is laugh. Song Chibin, Xiaohui is talking to you. Have you completely lost your manners? My wife glared at me with pure unadulterated fury, shaming me as if I were the one in the wrong. Suddenly, I was being painted as the villain of the story. They were being incredibly bold and arrogant. The very second they cleared out of the house, I wiped her fingerprints from the smart lock's memory. I have to admit, I admire one thing about my wife. She's efficient and moves with ruthless speed, never leaving any messy loose ends behind. Our divorce proceedings went off without a single hitch. On the day we officially collected the papers, Zheng Xiaohui actually had the nerve to show up. As we stood by the exit with our certificates, Sun Yue stepped away to use the restroom. Suddenly, Jiang Mani pulled up in a luxury supercar, worth millions. She rolled down the window, tossed me a designer lighter and sped away. Zheng Xiaohui, standing right there, looked absolutely hypnotized, his eyes glued to the retreating silhouette of that car. I curled my lip into a smirk and stepped toward him. You've seen that lady before, haven't you? Zheng Xiaohui gave a slow, mesmerized nod, not even bothering to deny it. She's incredibly loaded, you know. Stick with her and $1 million car is just a toy. Let me be straight with you, kid. Sun Yue is actually flat broke. She's likely drained every cent of her savings by now. With her tiny salary, she can barely support herself, let alone a lifestyle like yours. Hey, bro, do you happen to have that lady's contact info? The fish has finally taken the bait. I caught Sun Yue emerging from the restroom out of the corner of my eye. Quick scan my code and add me first. The kid certainly has fast reflexes. In a literal heartbeat, he had scanned my QR code. Once the friend request was sent, I made my exit, leaving him with one final instruction before I left. Message me when you're in a more private spot. Got it, bro. I headed back to the parking structure. As I pulled out and began to drive away, I spotted Sun Yue affectionately hooking her arm into Zheng Xiaohui's. Of course, Zhang Mani's appearance today wasn't a coincidence. I had orchestrated the whole thing beforehand, asking her to pick up a designer lighter for me. I specifically chose today for the pickup, and told her to just drop it off on her way. Who knew her timing would be so incredibly perfect without me even having to break a sweat? Zheng Xiaohui got a full view of her luxury supercar. A guy like him is basically just hunting for a permanent meal ticket. Roughly 30 minutes later, Zheng Xiaohui's message popped up, "Hey bro, I'm in the clear now. Can you hook me up with that lady's contact info?" He seemed remarkably impatient to secure himself a brand new benefactor. Kid adding her out of the blue would be way too blunt. The status bar showed he was typing bro. You're totally right. I wasn't thinking. So is there any way you can help me stage a random encounter? As expected of a seasoned sugar baby specialist, Zheng Xiaohui knew exactly how to play this game. I waited 10 minutes before casually firing back a reply. I've got a plan, but this has to stay strictly between us. Don't worry, bro. My lips are sealed. The second phase of my revenge was already halfway complete. I had arranged a dinner with Zhang Mani at a high-end restaurant. But the moment she arrived at the venue, I gave her a quick call. Mani, I'm so sorry. An emergency cropped up at the office, and I won't be able to make it. The bill is already settled though, so go ahead and enjoy the meal. Don't let it go to waste. I could hear the slight trace of disappointment in her voice. Alright, I understand, Chiban. In reality, I was staked out in the restaurant's parking lot, watching Zhang Mani's every move from inside my car. I fired off a quick text to Zheng Xiaohui. Target spotted, you're clear for the accidental encounter. He replied within the second. On it, bro. Moments later, Zheng Xiaohui materialized right by Zhang Mani's side. At first, Manny seemed somewhat reluctant and cold, but it didn't take long before Xiaohui was confidently seated directly across from her. Clearly, Zheng Xiaohui's cougar charming skills were truly in a league of their own. Soon, Zhang Mani was practically beaming with joy, and the atmosphere between them looked incredibly cozy. I adjusted my long focus lens and snapped several high-quality photos of the pair. By the time they exited the restaurant, they were already holding hands. I captured a few more shots of their intimate display before Xiaohui hopped into Mani's luxury supercar. The roar of the engine echoed through the night sky. I sent another message to Zheng Xiaohui. Well, did you manage to snag her contact info? About 10 minutes passed before Zheng Xiaohui messaged me back, bro. Since when do I ever strike out? Xiaohui certainly hadn't let me down. Over the following few days, Xiaohui made it a point to see Zhang Mani almost daily, and their romance ignited with terrifying speed. During the day, Xiaohui lied to Sun Yue about being out on a hike, while in reality, he was busy whining and dining Zhang Mani. Once Manny drove off today, I purposely stepped into Xiaohui's line of sight. Bro, what are you doing here? I was just passing through, and I figured I'd stop by and say hello. I maintained a perfectly casual facade, and even offered him a cigarette. Wow, bro, this is some premium stuff. Must be expensive, right? Nah, kid, it's nothing special. Once you've got Manny, you won't have to worry about the price of anything. Zheng Xiaohui's eyes lit up with instant understanding, sharing a knowing wicked smirk with me. So, have you made a real move yet? Have you actually sealed the deal? Zheng Xiaohui took a deep, satisfied drag, exhaling a thick plume of white smoke. Bro, you just don't get it. With wealthy ladies like her, you have to build a soul connection first. I let out a couple of cynical clicks with my tongue. A true professional in every sense of the word. I offered him a mocking thumbs up for his expertise. By the way, how are things going with Sun Yue lately? I tossed the question out casually, acting as if it were just idle chatter. It's whatever. She can barely scrounge up any cash for me these days. She keeps telling me to just wait a little longer, insisting she'll have 5 million in her hands soon. My phone's notification chime rang out sharply. I glanced at the screen before pushing myself up to stand. Something's come up, I've gotta head out. Just a tip if you wait around for too long. You might find someone else has already stolen your prize. Zheng Xiaohui offered a slow, focused nod, his expression turning noticeably dark and calculating. The message was actually from Zhang Mani. She informed me that Sun Yue was hounding her daily for money, even threatening that if the cash wasn't delivered, she'd spill the beans to Manny's husband about the pregnancy. Backed into a corner by the constant harassment, she had no choice but to throw Yue a small pittance first. 2 days later, I received a message from Zheng, a photo sent by Xiaohui of a high-end hotel room keycard. Tonight's the night I finally claim her. It looks like the real show is about to begin. I anonymously sent a batch of photos to Sun Yue. Every single shot featured Zheng Xiaohui, locked in intimate steamy embraces with Zhang Mani. I followed up with the exact address of the hotel and the specific room number where they were hiding. Sun Yue fired back a text instantly. Who is this? I let a wicked smirk curl across my lips and replied with 4 simple words, call me your savior. After hitting send, I made my own way to the hotel. Disguised in a cap and mask, I staked out the lobby. It didn't take long for Sun Yue to storm through the entrance. Even from a distance, I could feel the explosive rage radiating off her. Her eyes were bloodshot with pure, unadulterated fury. She was currently living through the ultimate betrayal trope, getting backstabbed by her lover and her best friend at the same time. And the mastermind behind this glorious farce was me. I slipped into a separate elevator and headed up. Sun Yue stomped ahead down the hallway, while I trailed behind, maintaining a safe, watchful distance. She took a sharp, jagged breath in front of the door and pressed the doorbell firmly. Good evening. Room service, we have a complimentary bottle of red wine. For your enjoyment. She deepened her voice, sounding incredibly aggressive. Even I could barely recognize her tone. I didn't expect her to actually have the brains for this. The hotel room door swung open in an instant. The ensuing chaos immediately echoed throughout the corridor. Zhang Mani, you absolute backstabbing tramp. How dare you try to seduce my Xiaohui? And you, Zheng Xiaohui? Is this how you repay my loyalty? I divorced my husband and got pregnant for you. I've spent every single penny I have on your deadbeat self. Sun Yue's blood-curdling screeches made my ear tingle. Drums throb with a dull ache. Naturally, the noise drew a massive crowd of curious onlookers. I slipped into the throng of people to watch the drama unfold. Zhang Mani and Zheng Xiaohui were both clad in bathrobes, making the situation painfully obvious. Sun Yue's baby bump was already starting to show, and she lunged forward, violently yanking Zhang Mani's hair. I'll kill you today, you home-wrecking bitch. I'm warning you right now. If you lay another finger on me, you're going to rot in prison. I am a pregnant woman, for heaven's sake. Zhang Mani shrieked in agony as her scalp was tugged, yet she refrained from striking back, clearly wary of Sun Yue's delicate condition. Zheng Xiaohui stood to the side, looking utterly paralyzed, lost in a state of sheer panic. Xiaohui, get over here and help me. Do you still want that Mercedes-Benz I promised you? The moment the word Mercedes left Manny's lips, Zheng Xiaohui's eyes sparkled with pure greed. He lunged forward and violently shoved Sun Yue away. The kid certainly had the raw strength of youth. Sun Yue stumbled backward, her steps heavy and clumsy, nearly crashing onto the hard floor. Zheng Xiaohui, have you lost your damn mind? I'm your girlfriend, you bastard. I'm carrying your freaking child in my womb. Sun Yue glared at him with eyes wide with manic fury. She looked absolutely terrifying in her desperation. Sun Yue, shut up. You don't even know for sure who the father is, do you? On that specific point, he wasn't lying at all. Zheng Xiaohui, you soulless piece of garbage. Sun Yue lunged at him again, digging her sharp nails deep into his forearms. At first, Zheng Xiaohui tried to endure the pain, but his patience snapped in a matter of seconds. Crack! He delivered a thunderous slap across Sun Yue's face. Instantly, Yue's pale cheek erupted with a vivid red 5-finger mark. Her eyes welled up with stinging tears. It was clear that he had put his full weight into that strike, showing absolutely no mercy. At this very moment, the second phase of my master plan was officially complete. Fine, Zheng Xiaohui. You dare hit me. This isn't over between us. Neither of you is getting away with this. And Zhang Mani, I'm going straight to your husband to expose every bit of your filth. Just wait. He's going to kick your pathetic self out onto the streets. Oh, and by the way, did you forget you lied to your husband, claiming you were some innocent virgin when you met? I furrowed my brow slightly. It seemed they were finally digging up the skeletons in the closet. Sun Yue, don't you dare. Zhang Mani's face turned a deep, panicked crimson. Her eyes shot through with jagged red veins. Her greatest fear was her husband finding out the truth. Look at me, Manny, I've lost everything. What do I have left to be afraid of? Sun Yue took a heavy, determined stride toward the exit, but Zheng Xiaohui quickly blocked her path. You're not going anywhere. Xiaohui wasn't trying to protect Manny. He was terrified. His golden ticket was about to vanish. Yue, fine, I'll get you the money. 5 million on Sun Yue's bruised face. A smug, triumphant smirk slowly began to spread. Slam! The hotel suite door was violently kicked shut, leaving the disappointed crowd of onlookers to disperse. As the mob thinned out, I spotted a familiar face. It was Zhang Mani's young domestic helper. She hurriedly tucked her phone away, shot me an awkward, guilty smile, and quickly vanished down the long corridor. It seems the third phase of my plan is off to a flawless start. That maid had actually been stalking me for a while. During my last visit to Manny's place, she had already begun to eye me with suspicion, convinced that I was having a sordid affair with her mistress. I'd even spotted her tailing us at the cafe, though I played dumb and pretended not to notice. Before arriving at the hotel today, I deliberately loitered around Zhang Mani's estate, just to ensure her maid caught sight of me. Precisely as I predicted, the maid shadowed me in her beat-up grocery car. Technically, I promised Jang Mani I wouldn't tell her husband about her scandalous fling with the college kid. But if the truth leaks from someone else's mouth, my hands are clean. I didn't flee the scene. Instead, I remained perched in the hotel lobby. Before long, Sun Yue finally emerged from the elevator. The smug, triumphant grin on her face was impossible to hide. It looked like the negotiation had gone in her favor. Since Zheng Xiaohui and his lover stayed holed up, I decided it was time to head out. The next day, while at the office, I shot a text to Zheng Xiaohui. So how'd it go last night? The silence was deafening as I received zero response. Then right as I was clocking out, Sun Yue suddenly materialized at my company entrance. The smug satisfaction from yesterday had completely vanished. Now she looked utterly disheveled and broken. Chibin, we need to talk. I gave a slow nod of agreement and sat down with her at the cafe right next door. Chibin, I know I did you dirty before, but I've been drowning in regret lately. You're the only one I truly love. Can we just remarry? She flipped her script faster than a page in a book. Sun Yue, tell me the real reason for this sudden change. Give me the truth, and maybe just maybe I'll consider it. After all, there's a chance that kid in your belly is mine. Exactly, Chibin. The baby is definitely yours. That absolute trash Zheng Xiaohui ran off with Zhang Mani, but Manny finally got what was coming to her. Her husband caught her red-handed. Now he's filing for divorce, and he's cutting her off without a single penny. He even confiscated everything she owned. It seems the maid has already delivered her report. Sun Yue is panicking now that Manny's funds have dried up, cornered and with nowhere left to turn. She's desperately crawling back to me as a last resort. Sun Yue, you absolute snake. Why the hell would you do this to me? Suddenly, Zhang Mani burst into the cafe. A chaotic twist that actually managed to surprise me. I already promised to give you that 5 million. Why did you have to go and snitch to my husband? Now neither of us is ever going to see a dime of that money. Listen here, Zhang Mani. Do you think I'm an idiot? Why would I throw away a fortune? I'm bold enough to admit what I've done, and I swear I never leaked a word to your husband. Besides, if I were actually going to sell you out, do you really think I'd stop at just one secret? All that filthy laundry from your younger days. I would have aired every single bit of it. The explosive volume of their screeching match instantly drew another crowd of curious onlookers. Feeling a wave of secondhand embarrassment, I turned to leave, but Zhang Mani barked my name. Chibin, since you're already standing right here, I might as well spill the truth. Your precious ex-wife, Sun Yue, is no saint. Back in the day, she was a total wild child, notorious for her scandalous reputation. The number of men she's been with is literally countless. You're nothing but a pathetic rebound guy. Sun Yue's face flickered between ghostly pale and beet red, realizing with a sinking heart that her chances of reconciling with me had hit rock bottom. You absolute tramp, Zhang Mani. How dare you try to sabotage my relationship with Chibin? I'm gonna make you pay for this today. Within seconds, the two of them were locked in a violent brawl, neither side willing to give an inch. This time, however, Zhang Mani didn't hold back just because of the pregnancy. She even delivered a vicious kick straight toward Yue's abdomen. Suddenly, the cafe was filled with blood-curdling screams, as former best friends transformed into mortal enemies. Eventually, blood began to pool beneath Sun Yue's legs. Zhang Mani's face was also severely lacerated. Both women were rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Sun Yue lost her unborn child, and was told she would never be able to conceive again. Zhang Mani was left permanently disfigured. After that fateful day, I never crossed paths with either of them again. Word got out that they started another fight in the hospital ward, and ended up tumbling down a flight of stairs. Zhang Mani suffered a traumatic brain injury, falling into a deep coma with no signs of waking up. Sun Yue, paralyzed by the fear of life behind bars, suffered a total mental breakdown and developed schizophrenia. She was eventually committed to a high-security psychiatric ward. As for that hiking companion Zheng Xiaohui, he was brutally thrashed by Zhang Mani's husband. Eventually, he slunk back to his old job as a hiking companion. But during one of his mountain excursions, a horrific accident left him with a shattered leg. Now he's cursed to spend his life paralyzed in bed. Zhang Mani's husband actually ended up with that housemaid. As for me, my career skyrocketed to new heights. And 2 years later, I finally built the family I truly deserved.